What's up, guys? You are watching Counterculture with Aaron Lujan. This is episode 28. Today is September 9th, 2018. This is the Facebook pre-show. What's up, fam? It's been a minute. Glad to be back. Hope you guys missed me, because I missed you. Today's title of the podcast is episode 28. Censorship of free speech has begun as Silicon Valley puts politics over profits. I don't know why I'm leaning forward. You guys, this is not the podcast. This is, I call it the pre-show. Basically, what I would like for you guys to do is forward to minute 3. When the podcast starts, it will start on minute 3. This is being recorded as a Facebook video to try to get the word out, but it's primarily a podcast. You can listen to it on all the major podcast players. And you can, of course, get everything at aaronlujan.com. That's my website. This is my hobby. I do this so that I don't end up in a mental institute. This is a public health service. We do not want to see me in the news. You would rather see me talk about the news. So we got about 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. My wife is giving me hearts. What's up, baby? What's up, baby? If you're here, please wave, say hello, make me feel like me, my wife, and my dog are not the only ones watching. I do realize that most people catch the rebroadcast, which is why I'm asking everybody to forward to minute 3. So if you want to listen to the podcast and you're watching the rebroadcast, please forward to minute 3 when the podcast will begin. Again, today's title, Censorship of Free Speech has begun as Silicon Valley puts politics over profits. You guys, bear with me. Be kind to me today, please. It's been about 2 months since I've done this. Guys, I've been on a lot of travel, a lot of work. You know how the summer can get. And have not been in the saddle as much as I would like to be. I missed it. I enjoy doing this. I appreciate your support. Just hit a major milestone, saw this analytics the other day, and I would like to share with you some really good news. I'm very small time compared to other podcasters, but for me, it's a huge milestone and achievement. Just achieved 1,000 unique downloads. That means there was 1,000 individuals who actually downloaded the podcast, which is available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, at least for the time being, which is actually the nature of today's podcast. So we're about 40 seconds away, guys. Invite your friends, your family, your dogs, your lizards, your neighbors, your enemies, your friends, your lovers, anybody who has brain waves. Please invite them, because I am desperate to be seen, desperate to be heard. 21 seconds, guys. I'm getting nervous, even though no one's watching. According to the Facebook stats. Actually, no one may actually watch this podcast, because I am about to explain why. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Testing. Welcome. Today is September 9th, 2018. I am your host, Aaron Lujan. You are listening to Counterculture. Today's podcast is episode 28. Censorship of free speech has begun as Silicon Valley puts politics over profits. In case you haven't noticed, there's been some buzz in the news lately about Alex Jones, the evil, to be feared, hide your kids, hide your wife, Alex Jones of Infowars.com. That was a horrible Alex Jones impersonation. I apologize. Alex Jones has been banned from anything that can produce a sound. Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Facebook, YouTube, everything. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. I've been doing a lot of research today, and I am convinced, which is why I am on the Facebooks and the podcast and the interwebs today, to broadcast an emergency transmission that censorship of free speech in America has begun. I am slightly satirizing and slightly humorizing the title, but it is true, folks. I am convinced that free speech in America has begun to be censored. I am going to go through a couple of quick points to illustrate my point. Many of these points you may or may not have heard. I wanted to do it in alphabetical order, but don't have time because this is hashtag Ghetto Podcast. So let's go. September 6th. Twitter permanently bans Alex Jones of InfoWars. In case you guys don't know, Alex Jones is a media entrepreneur, podcaster, blogger, journalist, crazy guy, hero. Depends on your worldview. I got mixed emotions about Alex, but I'm just a fan of free speech, and I'm a fan of free expression. I'm a fan of truth. And we may disagree on his delivery or some of his tactics or some of the things he may have said. But nevertheless, Alex Jones is monitors or manages Infowars.com. A lot of political news, news that you don't hear, alternative news. He's considered the king of the alt-right or alternative media. He has effectively, as of September 6th, which is just a few days ago, since today's September 9th, Twitter has permanently banned Alex and Infowars from having an account. September 7th, Twitter suspends Chris Tanto Paranto for criticizing Obama. If you don't know, Tanto is one of the heroes in the Benghazi incident. He was being fired on by terrorists and was attempting to rescue the ambassador from the embassy property there in Benghazi, Libya. He went out and criticized Obama today on Twitter on a speech that the former president made and was suspended temporarily for 12 hours. September 9th, Facebook censors NPR. You know, the NPR is like InfoWars, right, guys? You have Facebook censoring an NPR report exposing a fake science of school shootings. So NPR actually criticized a report that purportedly represented science on the science of school shootings. I keep ducking in the view. If you guys are watching this, I don't know why, but I shouldn't duck. Maybe my head's too big. Facebook is censoring an NPR report that criticized the supposed science of school shootings by the Department of Education. They said that those events never happened. Facebook censored NPR. September 9th, YouTube pulls ads at the behest of Russian government. Recently, there was some pension reforms in Russia, and President Putin was making people very upset in Russia. And a gentleman by the name of his last name is Navalny, was a opposition protester who was opposed to the increase in age to receive pension in Russia. He placed ads on YouTube, and the Russian government called on YouTube, hashtag collusion with Russia, and said, take down those ads. We don't want those ads criticizing our government. And YouTube bowed to the Russians and pulled the ads as a result. Similarly, today, YouTube shuts down state-sponsored Syrian channels on YouTube. Sama TV, Syrian Presidency, Syria MOD. These are all YouTube channels that are controlled by the Syrian government led by Bashar al-Assad. Those channels were shut down today, because war is coming, guys. That'll be probably the next podcast. Be on the lookout. War is coming in Syria. If you didn't know, now you know. September 8th, Apple bans Alex Jones and InfoWars app from the Apple App Store. September 7th, the European Union in the final stages of a bill forcing big tech to censor social media, according to Reuters. August 28th, Cody Wilson, he produces manuals on how to develop 3D guns, produced a video and released some instructions on how to produce and manufacture three-dimensional guns off a 3D printer. And apparently he's in some sort of legal battle as a result of his innovations, because apparently entrepreneurship in America is a bad thing when it comes to guns. As a result, those videos were removed from YouTube. September 6th, CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, admitted to the Senate that, quote, Twitter was, quote, unfairly I should say, quote, unfairly. That was the word that he used because we have integrity here on Counterculture. Shadow ban 600,000 accounts. What's shadow ban mean? Shadow ban means that when you tweet, nobody sees your tweets, nobody can follow you, you cannot grow an audience. I have been attempting to crack Twitter for years and have never gotten any traction there, probably because I'm not interesting, but I have a suspicion that some of it is sprinkled in with a little bit of shadow banning. 600,000 accounts admitted by the CEO of Twitter to be unfairly treated, admitted under oath at a Senate hearing. September 3rd, Samed Chakraborty. Don't know. Is he from India? I do not know. He is stunned at Facebook. Product manager of Facebook, civic engagement, told NBC that they're building a war room to monitor the 2018 U.S. elections to, quote, take quick and decisive action. You know what, guys? They just manned it with a couple people, 20,000 Facebook employees or Facebook contractors will be in a, quote, war room. That's actually what they call it over at Facebook to monitor the 2018 elections, civic engagement, community standards, right? It's all good and butterflies and rainbows. August 26th, YouTube search algorithm gives unrelated search results. There was a study done by, I forget, #Ghetto Podcast, that YouTube has changed their search algorithm. They no longer give the most relevant search results. They no longer give the search results that seem to tell the truth. They divert and direct and give you a bunch of unrelated results until you're about the 20th or 30th video down. You will finally get a perfect search result. YouTube is not broken. I'm imagining they're not. The search algorithm has changed, as reported as of August 26th. August 2nd, Spotify removed InfoWars episodes. Again, I'm working unchronologically. I guess that was leading up to the big full ban, or at least that was Spotify. Excuse me. February of 2017, Robert Spencer of jihadwatch.org. Jihadwatch.org is a website that monitors and chronicles true Islam, blessed be Muhammad, the holiest of prophets, is a pedophile and he is dead. Jihad Watch exposes Islam, real Islam. They used to get 20,000 referrals per day from Facebook, now down to 2,000. And Google has buried him under the search term jihad. And GoFundMe has effectively stolen $2,500 of his money under, of course, the guise of violation of community standards. Robert Spencer of Jihad Watch, March 6, 2018, Twitter blocks pro-life group Human Coalition, and they blocked their prayer app from the Apple Store because, again, it violates their community standards. Human Coalition, guys, is a group of Christians who are opposed to... Sorry, I always freak out when my screen goes dead because I'm recording, and I apologize. We are listening to Ghetto Podcast. Hopefully, this is still recording. We will continue. Maybe I should stop it. Oh, it looks like it froze. Moving along. I'm still on Facebook. That's good. Sorry, guys. Twitter blocks Human Coalition. It's just a pro-life group of Christians opposed to abortion. Their app was removed from their store, and Twitter just blocked them. June 28th, 2018, West Virginia group Warriors for Christ had reached 14 million followers, or had 14 million followers, lost 13 million in 1 week on Facebook. They go live on Facebook, and their videos disappear after they go live. Man, I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a hard time focusing here. Okay. So an entire section of my podcast will be removed. You guys, if you're watching this on Facebook, this is Ghetto Podcast. I do not have a producer. I'm sorry. For a second, I thought the podcast stopped recording. Let's continue. The American Family Association lost 2/3 of their reach in the last year, according to a spokesman from that group. Again, it's a pro-family, biblically oriented group that has lost 2/3 of their reach on Facebook in the last year. Is everybody just lying? Does everybody just want to create this fake conspiracy that Facebook hates Christians, and all of these pro-life Christian patriot groups have just all, we all went to our bunker in a smoky room and said, you know what, guys, let's take down Zuckerface and let's all lie to the public and say that they're shadow banning and blocking us. Or the alternative is that didn't actually happen and it's actually happening. They're all telling the truth. I continue, July 14th, 2018, a music group, a gospel group. Who hates gospel groups, man? I don't even like gospel music, but I love gospel groups. Zion's Joy is the name of the gospel group. They had a song called, quote, "What Would Heaven Look Like?" It's kind of like Ice-T's F the Police. Censored by Facebook for its political content. In one of the lyrics, it said, "What would heaven look like? There would be no hatred and no bigotry." Man, those crazy Zion's Joy with their hateful political content on Facebook, no wonder they were removed. March of 2018 in Ireland, home of Lucky Charms. LiveAction.org is another pro-life group. There was a bill in their legislature in Ireland to effectively, I think, provide some bans on abortion. They, Live Action, the pro-life group out of the U.S., decided to ally with the Irish pro-life movement and run some ads on YouTube. Those ads were removed. They say, "I don't want your money. Get out of our face." The legislation was passed on behalf of abortion in Ireland. I continue, July 18th. Ex-homosexual David Kyle Foster had 700 videos pulled from Vimeo for, quote, hateful and offensive content. David Kyle Foster is a former homosexual who has gone public and said there is therapy, there is hope for people in this lifestyle, and we love them, we care for them. Homosexuality is unnatural, it is unhealthy for those that are involved in that lifestyle. Whether you agree or disagree with it, Vimeo clearly disagreed, found it hateful and offensive, and pulled all 700 videos from the site. March of 2016, Stephen Andrew saw 98% of his material censored on Facebook. Stephen Andrew is a Christian entrepreneur who produces biblically backed business advice, very non-political, talking about business apparently. He's a Silicon Valley investor / entrepreneur, kind of rare in the valley, kind of rare over there in San Ho, but he was also removed from Facebook. August of 2017, PragerU is a liberty-based conservative organization, had their videos deleted from Facebook due to hate speech violations. Facebook said, quote, "Hate speech is the reason why we took down your PragerU videos." And then they came back and said, "Oh, it was a mistake. Hashtag our bad." And 9 posts reached 0 of their 3 million followers. They posted 9 posts on Facebook to 3 million followers. 0 saw them on PragerU. Too bad. August of the 23rd. August 23rd. You guys bear with me. I was a C student. Facebook blocked CNN contributor Selena Zito, who wrote an article in the New York Post titled "Why Trump Supporters Won't Care About Cohen and Manafort Convictions." She, as an attorney and as a legal mind, translated to us common folk how a plea bargain is not an admission of guilt, while the media was perpetuating this idea that, Cohen and Manafort, they pleaded guilty in a plea bargain. Trump must be guilty. We're going to be able to impeach the president. Sorry, guys, I'm a little hyped up today. It's been a while. Forgive me if you don't. If you're offended, don't worry. Zuckerberg will ban me if this video goes viral, or you can just turn it off. Zuckerface banned it for spam, violation of community standards. And if any of you folks over there in the NorCal area watching on Facebook, shout out to you for overthrowing this republic and being on the wrong side of history. But I still love you guys, and I will not treat you hatefully, and I will not wish you poorly, and I don't wish bad things to happen to you. I really don't. I just wish you guys would join the good side. I continue August 22nd. Jen Ellis of the Washington Examiner, who's also the director of the James Dobson Family Institute, which promotes evil things like marriages between a man and a woman, and children are better having a mom and dad in the home, and all these crazy radical things. They're out of this new book called the Bible. Anyways, super offensive content. Facebook removed Jen Ellis's article saying that Dems were overreacting to the Cohen's guilty plea. April of this year, Facebook banned what does this say? I can't read my own handwriting. A German professor for saying Islam was not a part of German history. July of this year, Robert J. Gagnon, who is a Christian scholar, said that the LGBT activism pushes sexual or promotes and pushes sexual perversion. That was banned and blocked as classified as hate speech on Facebook. God bless Mark Zuckerberg. Right, guys, August 21st, huge Facebook personality. She calls herself the activist mommy. I learned about her years ago. She's got a huge following, 600,000 followers on Facebook. Activist mommy. Her real name is Elizabeth Johnson. She was just removed from Facebook, banned. Prior to that, she was temporarily banned 3 times in 2017 under hate speech violations. She respectfully asked Facebook, what was it that I said that was hateful? Radio silence. Facebook did not provide a response per Elizabeth Johnson. She's reporting that Facebook will not respond why she was removed, and all of her 600,000 followers will no longer hear from her ever again. August of the 17th. Again, guys, hashtag #CStudent. Laura Loomer is a real journalist. If you don't know who she is, look her up. I'm journalistically in love with Laura Loomer. Hashtag heads over heels over Laura Loomer. Had her video removed from Facebook. She was literally in a video being assaulted. She was the one getting assaulted by a candidate, congressman or congresswoman for a Democratic candidate for Congress in Minnesota, Ilhan Omar, who probably believes that Muhammad is the holiest of prophets, physically attacked Jewish reporter Laura Loomer for asking her very fair questions, in my opinion. And she had that video removed from Facebook. And I believe Laura Loomer is also under some major attack on YouTube as well. You guys, I had to stop doing the research because I didn't want to go on the Facebooks. I didn't want to go on Zuckervision at 3 in the morning. I had to stop doing this research because I was like, it's just never ending. I honestly thought I was going to have to dig and look for instances of censorship, and almost everything was like in the last 3 to 4 weeks. You guys, I got chills right now. The last 3 to 4 weeks, we've seen the most powerful tech companies in the world, which today is we're in the tech revolution, has effectively decided to ban certain elements of free speech. These points of view or worldviews generally are biblical worldview points. These are generally conservative political viewpoints. These are generally libertarian viewpoints. People that have a biblical worldview, people that have conservative politics. These are the people that are being deemed hateful and unacceptable. I got to change the screensaver settings on my computer, guys. Welcome. Okay, so we'll continue later. So I'm gonna just pause the podcast because I have worked too hard to just stop here. So let's continue. Oh, cool. I can continue. Sorry, guys. Just so you know, this is hashtag Ghetto Podcast. I'm recording this as a podcast. You can listen to it on aaronlujan.com, Spotify, iTunes for the time being, all the major podcast players, hashtag for the time being, because everyone's getting censored. Probably someone like me. Not speaking that over me. I hope I don't get censored. Mark Zuckerberg, I love you, man. Don't censor me, dude. Anyways, so I thought I had just lost the ability to record this, but I'm back, and I'm talking on Facebook. So if you guys are listening to the podcast normally, I'm also recording this as a Facebook. So follow me on Facebook so you cannot see me. So essentially, these are the types of viewpoints that Facebook, YouTube, Google are censoring. We're seeing this in the search results. We just had the president recently tweet. But of course, if you hate the president, then everything that I just said actually didn't happen, and he's crazy, and I'm part of some crazy conspiracy theory by Putin. I'm actually Putin standing behind this Chinese restaurant wall behind me because we're all colluding with the Russians. Anyways, I joke. So now that we know that there's clear censorship, I want to ask the question, why would they do this? Because they're in the business of making profits. They're businesses. And if you're going to anger arguably 30-40%, conservatively speaking, of your conservative audience, pun intended, why would you anger that amount of people and lose all these profits? Google, Facebook earnings, they're not only losing viewers, and not only has YouTube lost viewers, but they're actually losing revenue. We just saw Nike recently just take a huge dump in the markets. Why would these companies go political when time after time after time again, Aztec Sporting Goods, they're down big time now, that they make these huge political decisions at the expense of profits when you're in business? I personally believe that Silicon Valley and the tech gods are no longer businesses. They are now political activists. They have all the money and resources in the world that they would ever want, and they have now prioritized political power over profits. I have an interesting perspective on this because actually, if you don't know this personally, this is actually what I do for a living. I'm a marketer, digital strategist. I work with businesses, and ironically, I kind of, and joking aside, I did this podcast with a slight bit of risk because I actually hypocritically, judge me, hashtag judge me, I'm a reseller for these platforms. I actually make a living selling audiences on Facebook and Google, and I do that because it is in the best interest of my clients. At the end of the day, Facebook and Google provide incredible markets for businesses who want to reach customers. The targeting abilities of these platforms is the reason why they are wildly successful financially. And I personally have a dog in this fight because this is how I make my living. I am a marketer. I resell for a lot of these platforms. Don't tell anybody, please. So, my point in saying this is, my perspective in this is crazy. You guys are pissing off like half of your audience, the people who go onto YouTube. I have videos on YouTube that generated tens of thousands of views 4 or 5 years ago. I put videos on YouTube now. I'm lucky if I get 50 views. I had a video I put out 4 or 5 years ago, 36,000 views. It was crazy. It was one of the coolest things that ever happened to me in my life. Honest to God. It was like this viral effect. And now I put out videos and it's like nobody sees it. I've personally experienced this. And I'm upset. And I don't want to be on YouTube anymore. And it doesn't make sense to me because if you're YouTube, you have to know this. I mean, YouTube, the people that work at YouTube are way smarter than me, right? They got to know this. I mean, if I know this, they for sure know this. So I've come to the conclusion that they know this and they don't care because they're not interested in profits. They're interested in power. So the point I'm making is that these Silicon Valley companies, Apple, Google, Facebook, have all made the decision that the political agenda, our masters who we serve, want us to produce results, and we're not serving our shareholders. We're serving the NSA. We're serving the deep state, whoever that is. I'm not here to theorize who's pulling the plugs, pulling the strings, pulling the plugs. But That's the only logical conclusion. The only other alternative is that they're insane. And I don't believe that they're stupid and insane. These are really smart people who went to like really awesome schools. And, I imagine Google and Facebook recruits the best, right? So they're not dumb. They made a conscious and calculated decision that we are willing to sacrifice our reputation and our audience and our profits for the end goal of power. And they are opposed diametrically to the worldviews and perspectives that they're censoring. They don't want that. And why now? We're in the midst of a 2018 midterm election. We're about 60 days away. We've seen a huge purge of all of these platforms. So now we're in a situation where the 2020 elections are 2 years away. People have ditched television. People have ditched legacy media. Many people could argue that Trump won the election due to the fact that people shut off the mainstream media that has been the predominant source of news for years and decades, and they went to social media and alternative news. So now the strategy has shifted. They have now decided that they are going to infiltrate, censor, co-opt, remove, purge any of these voices that challenge their political viewpoints. Now, I would like to say I am a free market guy. And a lot of conservatives are going to disagree with me on this, and I don't care. So if you're conservative, feel free to unfriend me right now. The truth of the matter is they have a right to censor because they're private companies. However, they're being dishonest because they run around Google with their slogan, just don't be evil. Twitter saying that we're a free speech platform with the exchange of ideas. So they're lying to the public in saying that we cherish and honor free speech, that we encourage the expression of free ideas. And, they throw in all the Thomas Jeffersonian flowery words and rhetoric, but then their actions speak much louder than their words. So my criticism of a lot of Trump supporters and conservatives right now is, if you say that you're opposed to big government and then want the power of the state to squash Facebook and Google, you are not being true to your values. I am a purist. I am beholden to the truth. I don't care about the Republican Party. I don't care about the Libertarian Party. The only parties I care about are ones with craft beer and barbecue. You like that, don't you? Tweet that. Hashtag Shadowban at Jack Dorsey. Sorry, guys, I am pumped tonight. They have a right to do it. So my criticism is, just don't pretend that you're this free speech platform and then turn around and act like hypocrites and censor people and don't make it a free speech platform. And if anybody on the right and any Trump supporters or conservatives who are saying it's a great idea to have big government step in and break it up, what would you have said had Obama said, let's shut down Fox News? Oh my gosh, you guys would have lost your minds. And it would have been wrong then, and it would be wrong today for Trump to do it. So the point I'm making here is that let's call out big tech for what it is. At the end of the day, we collectively have all the power because we're the ones that download the apps. We're the ones that log into the websites. We're the ones that watch the videos. And I guess I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world because I'm literally streaming right now on Facebook. And I'm reconciling all this right now. But the fact of the matter is that we make a conscious decision to give our power, our voting power, our dollars, our time, our energy to these platforms. And they derive all of their power from us. So if we don't agree with them, then let's abandon them. Facebook is already losing audience right now. They're bleeding. And that's a good thing. I've witnessed personally people that I used to see post all the time. Maybe they've unfiltered me. Not a surprise. Probably I'm the wrong guy to ask, right? Because I'm the guy that had like 80 plus people unfriend me since the election. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I don't support the idea of breaking them up. And if we don't like what they have to say, then let's ditch them. Let's choose an alternative platform. What I think we should strive to do is have a free market of ideas. I don't believe that we should live in these internet ghettos. And I believe that we should live in a world where we have access to all points of view and different ideas, because that only nurtures democracy, and it destroys any opportunity for confirmation bias. And I wanted to make a point on this idea of confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is this idea, this notion that you will seek out information and if it supports your existing worldview, and you will ignore information or opposing ideas that challenge your worldview. And I find this very interesting, because I think about 40% of the American population, or maybe just 40% of my friends, suffer from a confirmation bias where, like I said a moment ago, I've been unfriended like crazy. Like, I honestly think, if I had to guess, about 100 people have unfriended me. Seriously. Now, maybe I am a vile, awful person, and tell me if I am offline. Maybe I have a serious case of confirmation bias myself. I don't realize that I'm Adolf Hitler incarnate. But in all seriousness, I don't really believe that a lot of my ideas have been that hateful and offensive. I've never supported hate. I've never ridiculed a people group. I've never espoused or called for violence. I've always called for peace. But yet, conservatively 80 people have decided to defriend me from Facebook, I would imagine because of my viewpoints. And I would argue that they have confirmation bias because they probably saw something that they disagreed with. They thought that what I had said was wrong. And rather than engage in conversation or try to understand why I believe what I believe, they decided to not see it anymore. They don't want to hear from it anymore and just cut it out of their life. And I kind of have a testimony about that, because I also had a completely different worldview than I do today. So I grew up in a Democratic household. My parents were registered Democrats. I grew up Catholic, which is generally a Democratic people group. I went to liberal arts university, where a lot of the people and professors that I was surrounded with had a liberal worldview. So I just generally identified as a Democrat, as a liberal. If you would have asked me in 2099 or prior to that, I would have told, I voted for Al Gore in 2000. I voted for John Kerry in 2004. I was a vote blue guy. And then 9/11 happened. And I know, forgive me for the John Kerry thing. Again, I was a C student. It takes me time to catch up. 9/11 happened, and I had the internet in September 11, 2001. It was kind of like a new thing, right? So I started researching because something just didn't seem right about it. I felt like I was being lied to. I felt like the people in front of the camera with the fancy suit were not telling me the truth. So we had this new thing called the World Wide Web. Mark Zuckerberg was going through puberty at the time, so that didn't exist. And I was just really curious about the world and, what actually happened on 9/11 and who's responsible. Like, this just isn't making sense. And turned into 4 a.m. rabbit holes and, no nights of sleep and a lot of coffee at work. And the months and the years went by, and I just got deeper and deeper and deeper into the rabbit holes and just started educating myself on the foundation of this country and the concepts of liberty. And then came 2006 and 2007, where I came across a presidential candidate, and his name was Dr. Ron Paul. And this man blew open the gates politically for me. It was my political awakening of liberty and property rights and free market. And I just had this conversion, this Saul on the road to Tarsus moment where I was like, wow, I've been lied to. I was wrong. And you know what I did after listening to people I disagreed with, and after reading opposing points of view, and after carefully considering it against reason and logic, I came to the conclusion that my leftist worldview could not hold water anymore. and that I had to abandon that worldview and adopt a new worldview because I was pursuing truth and I did not want to live a lie. And I think that's okay. And I think that if you followed my journey and reach a conclusion where you love Obama and liberalism is great and socialism is awesome, that's okay, I believe, if you've taken the time to hear the points of view of people who espouse capitalism, real capitalism, not corporatism, which is what we have, and espouse libertarian ideas like small government, and then decide that that just doesn't hold water, and you hold on to your liberal, and you hold on to your liberal view, then that is okay. What I am opposed to and what I disagree with is confirmation bias. Defriending your MAGA friend, only listening to the things that confirm your bias, and be unwilling to hear opposing points of view. I think that is unproductive for you individually. And I also think collectively we can build a really bad culture in society if we're not willing to listen to other people. And what we have is Silicon Valley tech gods, little g, trying to create this vacuum where you're only going to hear certain points of view and not the points of view of people that disagree with the zeitgeist or the current trend. So I conclude and close with some solutions. Right now, as I speak, there are a number of decentralized platforms that are currently being developed in Silicon Valley and outside the valley. Minds.com, Steemit, Gab.ai. Gab is an answer to Twitter. Apple never allowed them on the App Store. Minds.com is experimenting with blockchain technology and marrying that with social networks, which is an interesting situation. There's actually a lot of innovation happening right now. And is anybody out there just want to have Facebook for the next 40 years? Or are you guys old enough or cool enough to appreciate the fact that we transitioned from MySpace to Facebook? Can we have vision for the future? Can we get past Mark Zuckerberg and all of his totalitarian minions and maybe look to the future and the World Wide Web as hope and promise? Oh my gosh, can't believe I used those two words, right? Did he make those words dirty? Hope for the future. Hope for our society by entrepreneurs developing new platforms that provide true transparency, that provide true democratization of the internet and a level playing field for ideas, and there be no gatekeepers of truth. That's why I love this blockchain technology stuff, because it's decentralized. If liberalism and leftism ends up winning the day and it's this great idea, then allow it to stand on the merits of its argument. I don't believe Silicon Valley and Mark Zuckerberg necessarily want to win an argument. I think they want to shut us the hell up, and they want us gone, which is why they're removing us. And if you're cheering for Alex Jones to get banned from Apple, iTunes, and App Store, if you're cheering for him to be removed from YouTube, then you're cheering for the end of our culture and the end of our republic. This is the longest podcast I've had, you guys. I'm sorry, I'm on 43 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up. But really, the last solution and the true solution is you. You individually, the person that's under my voice right now, you have the option to listen to crazy, racist, anti-Semitic, xenophobic, anti-Islamic people like me and all of my evil rhetoric. Or you can choose to shut me up and just read MSNBC and worship at the altar of Rachel Maddow and Anderson Cooper and all of these people and ignore the world that's going on around you. I would encourage you to just listen. I'm not saying believe us. I'm not saying convert. I'm not saying that I'm right, you're wrong. I'm simply saying shut your mouth and listen. Take the earwax out of your Dumbo ears and listen to this brown dude and a couple other dudes that you may disagree with, because I started that journey on September 11th, 2001, and I'm so glad that I never looked back. I'll close with this. Casey J produced a documentary called The Red Pill. She's a self-admitted liberal. She's a self-admitted feminist. And to her benefit, she made a decision to listen to this radical, already prejudged them as wrong, hateful group called Men's Right Activism. It's a group that basically said that men are discriminated in society, that men have a disadvantage in society, and there's a war against men. And she said, this is ridiculous. The real war is against women. Feminism is, the real struggle. Hashtag I'm with her. And she went and got in the car with them. She went and had coffee with them. And she made a documentary called The Red Pill. And I believe it's on Amazon Prime right now. That's how I watched it this weekend. And she changed her mind. Reluctantly. But the reason she changed her mind was because she made a heart change based on the merits of their arguments. But it didn't begin until she listened. So the moral of the story, guys, is that if you think I'm a xenophobic, racist, anti-Islamic, name all the isms that I am, listen to my podcast, you guys. And if you know me personally, I probably didn't beat you up. I probably didn't have a Nazi tattoo. I'm not going to bite. This is PG podcast. Maybe just for a second, it would be a good idea to listen to people that you disagree with and try to understand why they believe what they believe, unlike Silicon Valley, who just wants us off the face of the planet. You guys, we are in the middle of some of the most exciting times to be alive. If I do go away and you stop seeing my updates on Facebook, please bookmark aaronlujan.com. Subscribe. There's a subscribe button where you get the emails. I probably got into this party late, but do not be dismayed. I got some ideas that I'm thinking about launching early 2019. Potentially a platform. You heard it here first. And just pray for me, guys, because I think that there's an opportunity to do something really cool in this space now that the big tech companies are censoring free speech. And if any of you guys are programmers, UX designers, entrepreneurs, and you guys are curious about what I'm up to, email me. I'd love to network and collaborate. This was Counterculture with aaronlujan.com. The title of the podcast is Censorship of Free Speech Has Begun as Silicon Valley Puts Politics Over Profits. I appreciate your time. I love you guys. Peace.